I believe it's important also for me to have the time to review the book in this manner that I'm showing you the games, because some ideas come out of it. For example, I am on chapter 2 and I realized one thing. I was thinking, I thought, okay, this is a great book. He has a lot of information that is giving me, but how do I remember it? I don't have any idea how to remember it. I'm sorry. With all due respect for Mr. Soltis, no? Why I think I cannot remember it? Because this is a very passive way to learn. Practically, he's showing me game after game after game, and think that 6 months from now I will remember it. I think it should, because this is a kind of revised edition, a new edition of this book, right? I think one, he should have had some exercises at the end of each chapter. Instead, he put some supplemental games. Or he should have made a pawn structure chess workbook. So after I buy this book and I read chapter 1, I go to the workbook where there are many exercises that ask me what would you play next, and I can understand if I understood the Caro-Kann formation, the Caro-Slav formation or not. In this case, the chapter 2 is the Slav formation, okay? He says there are as many roads to the Slav formation as to the Caro. There is, first of all, the Slav defense to the Queen's Gambit and its cousins, Queen's Gambit accepted, Queen's Gambit decline, etc. Slav pawn structures also arise in more distant family members, such as the Catalan opening and Inson Indian and Granfell defenses. And there are also color reverse versions, like in the Colle system. So, as you can see, Soltis is really thorough because he knows the stuff. But how do we know it? That's the part that I don't know. In the beginning, he shows also this Chigorin E5 plan. So I think I have to show you the first two games to give you an idea. Also, if in reality I wanted to show you these second two games that were Taimanov Matulovic and Davidson Alekhine or Alekhine. Why do I have to show you the first two games? Because you will understand that. Otherwise you cannot understand. So the fourth is, but once again, passivity can be fatal to black, as in Rubinstein-Schlechter, Berlin 1918. So he show you a game like we have seen with Spassky or Kelly, where black is passive and boom, he really loses the game very fast. d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, c4, c6, the Slav, right? Knight c3, d takes c4, kind of Queen's Gambit accepted, right? e3, bishop g4, bishop takes c4, e6. And we have seen this formation in the game before. But like I told you, for the Caro-Kann, you play the Caro-Kann because you want to develop this. Otherwise you would play the French and you have it stuck inside. So you need to find a way to develop that bishop, right? But here unfortunately it seems it didn't help black very much to have the bishop out. Castle, knight bd7, h3, bishop takes a3, queen takes f3, bishop e7, rook d1. Castle is a mistake for Soltis. Let's see when he will explain it to us why. Maybe he will not. e4, rook e8, another mistake. Bishop f4 with an exclamation point, which is good. Um, Practically, we have a very similar formation and ideas of a previous game. The difference is that the bishop c8 is not here anymore, right? So I think he is telling us that black should have had a kind of break in the center, but obviously if you play c6, how do you do that? I don't see it, right? Let's see, however, knight f8, and here there is white to play. Here it says black missed chances to free his game with e5, so it was e5 the right thing. And we will see why, because in Chigorin e5 plan, so Chigorin, that was this Russian master, patriarch of a Russian school, had this kind of plan that we will see in the next game. But the basic solidity of a Slav should withstand anything except a d4, d5 break. Okay? Unfortunately, that's just what white had prepared. Okay, so after knight f8, white played d5. E takes d5, e takes d5. Black saw that both d6 and d takes e6 were threatened. He also realized that he would have been lost after c takes d5. So let's see, what did he play? He played queen b6. Wow. But d6, he doesn't stop d6. Bishop d8. And now you could stop and think. As you can see, Soltis doesn't give you an exercise. I do, because you have to think what to do now. You have created a weakness in black camp, and this is the fourth weakness. Then you need to create a second weakness, right? In order to win the game. And this was created by g4. Knight e6, because he's trying to block this. Okay. Keep in mind that there is a problem. If this piece goes away and this move because of g5, f7 is threatened and you're going to lose the game. So that's why he had to play knight e6. But after knight e6 he played this, d7. Rook e7, bishop d6, rook takes d7, bishop takes e6, f takes here, and there is g5, which was fatal, he says. Oh, fatal. Okay, what does the black play at this point? Because there is a problem, right? If you play this, it's checkmate by this, right? So what do? If you play this, you have lost a rook, right? And then you still have a problem there. I don't know. Kind of interesting. Now, let's go to see immediately the Chigorin plan, so we can understand how this works. And then we can finally watch the other two games that I wanted to show you in the beginning, so that you could better assess this chapter and the book and see if you like it, okay? Let me pause and put the pieces back. Okay, now we go Chigorin e5 plan. The Tsarist era master Mikhail Chigorin often found himself in a position similar to one we considered in the last chapter, after, say, d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, e3, c6, bishop d3, knight bd7, knight f3, bishop d6, castle, castle, e4. Black to play. The addition of castle is significant because black need not to play d takes e4. And let's see what happens. Which reaches a Caro formation after knight takes e4. So d takes e4, knight takes e4, Caro formation. Instead, Chigorin showed the following. D takes e4 at this point, because obviously threatened was this. Bishop takes e4 and e5 to avoid the fork, right? Is good. The significance of castling is that if black king were still on e8, white would have a strong... Okay, so he's saying that this is a very important move, because if a king is here, white will try to open the e-file and attack. So that is not what you want to do. But let's see how it continues, okay? Chigorin demonstrated that with dc4, d takes e4 and e5, black could compete in the center by playing e takes d4 and then make use of e5 with these minor pieces. Okay, so that's very interesting. Here is also explain the thing. Now, let's see the part that I wanted to show you, the games. He says consequences of d takes e5. The biggest danger to the Chigorin plan is a pawn trade on e5, followed by an advance of white's e-pawn and f-pawn, blowing black pieces backward. An example was Taimanov, Matulovic, Palma de Mallorca, 1970. The famous tournament Palma de Mallorca is the one where Fischer won ahead of everybody, crushing everybody. So that was kind of very, very interesting. Let's see this game. So just to want you to understand one thing, Chigorin is a Russian master, but from the end of the 1800, okay? And the ideas from Chigorin are used in something more than 100 years later. So you need to know Chigorin in order to better understand also modern games, as you can see. d4, d5, Taimanov was white, Matulovic black, okay? c4, d takes c4, so knight f3, knight f6, e3, bishop g4, bishop takes c4, e6. Obviously f7 is always a problem, okay, that you must keep into consideration. Knight c3, knight bd7, h3, bishop h5, castle, bishop d6, e4, e5, okay? So this is the thing we saw. Obviously, in between, Soltis gave another couple of examples before this game, but I wanted to see this game and the next one because they gave us some ideas. Again, I cannot duplicate all the book because it wouldn't make any sense. Everybody can study it at their own pace, in their home, and probably need to buy it because surely Mr. Soltis need to put bread on his table, right? So here it's white to play, and he says that white can proceed patiently with the bishop e3, and he gives a line. He can also play g4 and he gives a line, but he chooses a totally different course, which is d takes e5, boom, knight takes e5, attacking this, bishop e2, and now there is bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, and a mistake by black, which is knight takes f3. Why is this a mistake? Soltin doesn't say, but it's possible that it's what he told you in the beginning. He said that he would be able to play f4 and d5, so that's why this is a mistake, because it's not keeping it blocked. Okay. However, maybe there were other ways to mobilize this kind of majority, this central majority. Okay, so let's see. Queen takes f3, queen e7, bishop f4, and here another mistake, bishop e5, bishop takes e5, queen takes e5, and once more it's white to play. Notice that also here there is a possible minority attack, 2 against 3. Yeah. Okay, but let's see what happens. Queen e3. This is the good move. Why? Because again the idea was this, right? And so it's going to work. So this is a move that you should be able to think about. And as you can see, in a chess game, it's not really about tactics. It's about thinking, and thinking a lot, because how do you find this move if you don't have some strategical ideas that you want to have this kind of pawn maneuver? And that's why you need to study a pawn structure book, or maybe more than one, because obviously a different author will highlight something different which will click with you and make you understand the topic. So this is an amazing move that is not gaining a knight, a rook or whatever, but is making your pawn moves. And as you can see, if you study a book like this, you will be able to understand better also games that happen between grandmasters, without the need to having someone to commentate for you. Castle, f4. Queen e7, e5. Now, why is this important? Because it removes the defender. So once you remove a defender, maybe you have some possibilities of attack, right? So that's a possibility. Yeah. Okay. Black played c6. Very interesting move, because it controls these two and it still cannot take that right away. Rook f e1, rook f e8, queen f3. Now it's possible to take. Queen c5, check. Queen f2, queen takes f2, king takes f2, knight d5. Now if he played this move, then white would play this and this, and so as you can see become a problem. This knight is called the octopus because he controls 8 different squares. It's terrible, and most of them in enemy territory, so that's why he didn't play this, but he went here. Knight takes d5, c takes d5. Now black has an isolated queen pawn, so that's another thing that we should study, because I think I have shown some games of how to play against the isolated queen pawn and for the isolated queen pawn. In any case, rook e d1, attacking it, rook e d8, rook a c1, rook d7, preventing rook c7, king e3. Boom! Beautiful move. And you say, why it's a beautiful move? Because you need to block and have control of the square in front of the isolated pawn. The best blocker is the king. Why is the king? Because it's only worth 1 point. If I use a rook to block a pawn, I'm using 5 points, right? Instead, if I use this, well, it's 5 points wasted to defend it against 1. So that's why this move is really great. And as you can see, we are studying some chess games that give us insight and ideas on chess improvement because we understand better the position than our opponents. Rook a8, king d4. Now, this is a kind of endgame in a sense, also if there are these two powerful rooks, and rooks are really dangerous, right? But also black now needs to mobilize his king and try to go to defend. So king f8, and of course you cannot really go because f5 and win. Now, he didn't give us all the game of how he won, because at that point it's probably a question of technique, how to convert this, right? But if I would be you guys, I would take this example seriously. I would take this position like it is with white and play it against a sparring partner or a computer. If you play it, you will gain an understanding of it. So now let's watch the game Davidson-Alekhine or Alekhine from Semmering 1926, which shows a similar theme. Okay, let me pause and put everything back. By the way, I want to show you another thing. In reality, that game, Taimanov-Matulovic, is inside this book. And since I like to actually watch entire games, I will give you the end of that game because I found it at page 302, in which after f5 black continue with king e7. So I will just go fast to show you the game because I like to see how it ended. Rook d3, rook e8, rook d c3, b6, rook c7, rook d8, rook 1 c6, king e8, g4. As you can see at this point, practically the black pieces are kind of passive. White is really going forward. h6 and h4, and rook b8. Matulovic was normally a slow player. He had taken all of his allotted 2 hours and 30 minutes in the previous round and forfeited on time after 38 moves. But he was moving quickly today. He took only 64 minutes for the entire game. Taimanov spent 4 minutes more. So Taimanov for this game that we are seeing played in 68 minutes. Okay, let's see how it ends. g5, h takes g5, h takes g5, and here there is rook b7. Wow. Rook c8, rook d8, rook takes d8, king takes d8, but now there is king takes d5. Wow. a5, rook d6, king d8, king c6 is penetrating in the enemy line, it's over. Rook e7 and rook d5, and black resign. Again, guys, I show you also the end of this game. So from that position you should play it against the computer, but also from this position play it against the computer and see if you are able to win, because computers are really tricky. And of course vary the skill level of a computer, so you can enjoy a win or being slaughtered also if you have a won game. Now let's go to see the game with Alekhine, okay? For those curious about this chess set, this is a reproduction of a chess set called Arwitz from 1851. The king is really heavy. It's really pleasant to move this king because you could crush someone under that. It's like a bulldozer from how heavy it is. Okay, now let's watch the game Davidson-Alekhine Semmering 1926. Davidson played d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, e3, e6, knight c3, knight b d7, queen c2, bishop d6, bishop d3, castle, castle, queen e7, e4. As we can see, what we have seen before, how do you solve that with d takes c4. So as you can see, you don't even need to memorize the moves, because if you know the pawn structure, like we have studied, you know that you have to play that move, right? And after this, you want to play this to block everything, right? Rook d1, e takes d4, knight takes d4, and knight b6. And here there is bishop f1, black to play. So again, here what is white pawn structure as a goal? White wants to play this, right? But he cannot do it right away. So he needs to play h3 to avoid a knight g4. And then after h3 he needs to put the bishop here, and then he is able to do that, right? So you have few moves of preparation before you are able to actually play that. But how did black stop him? How did black stop him? He stopped him with this move, which is rook d8. Boom! You say, what? Why? Because the threat, like always, is this. So, whatever you do, right, you must be careful, because you take back, but then there is another check, and you lose the rook, right? So you must be a kind of careful what's going on. Let me show you, no? Let's say he plays this. You cannot take, right? Because queen e5, and you've lost it. So again, be a little careful of the discovery checks and possible tactics that you see in the game. And as you can see, to learn from watching an entire game, it can be quite different, because you see stuff that is real, no? In chess, in tournament chess. Okay, so let's see what happened. Okay. White played h3. Here there is, however, some discussion after rook d8 also about white not being able to play this right away. Okay, so buy the book and watch all the discussion. h3, but black plays bishop c7. Ooh. Wow. And there is no defender here, so there is a possible checkmate after, right? Okay, so let's see what happens. Bishop e3. Now, as you can see, white is trying to play this f4 at all costs, but Alekhine knows what he's doing. No? He knows what he's doing. Rook e8. Now, you could say that black has lost a tempo, but Alekhine, or Alekhine, is answering to the need of a position, right? So that's more important than anything else. Bishop d3, knight h5, knight c, e2, g6, rook e1, and knight e d7. And again, here there is a line that Soltis gives to prove why white is reluctant to play f4, which is understandable. Let's see how it... sorry, I'm curious to continue to see what's going on. Knight f3, bishop b6, bishop g5, queen c5. And now there is knight c3. He doesn't want to exchange the queens, not understanding that this guy in front of him is kind of dangerous. But in any case, probably Alekhine would have won because he was surely good also in the endgame. Knight e5, knight takes e5, queen takes e5. Now pay attention, this is a pin, okay? Once it's pin, there is a big problem, okay? Because now black can create a kind of mating attack, right? Bishop e3, bishop c7. He doesn't want to give up, obviously, that bishop, because probably he has an idea of giving checkmate. Knight e2, queen h2, but I don't know why he doesn't comment. Was there something better to play? No. Because to let the queen enter, I don't know. Okay, so now you're black. Now, let's try to use this game for learning something. You're black, what do you play? Right? Try to find what black had played in this game. So pause the video and find it out. Take your 5 minutes, right? In the game he played bishop takes h3, boom, g takes h3, queen takes h3. We have seen this kind of maneuver also against black, right, in previous games, similar to that. King g1, boom, king h1, knight f4, knight takes f4, bishop takes f4, check, king g1, boom, check again, right, king h1, and now there is queen f3, check, takes, oops, beautiful move, right? He plays queen c5, and of course it's game over after this. Why? Because check. And of course after you take on c5 you win. Here it says that you should also see supplemental game number 2, but we are not going to see it. This was enough for chapter 2, that was about the Slav formation. There are many more examples that Soltis give. Chapter 3 is about the Open Sicilian and the English. Why Open Sicilian and English? Because the English is a kind of reverse Sicilian. I hope we will go to chapter 3 soon, and I hope you enjoyed chapter 2. Thank you very much.